Good morning. Welcome to Just for Today. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader at Columbia Center for Spiritual Living in Columbia, Maryland. Today is January 23rd. And Just for Today is a time of eclectic reading selections. Um, if folks choose to engage, we make space for a discussion using the chat functions on Facebook and YouTube. And we do a brief meditation, and then I close us out with an affirmative prayer, also known as a spiritual mind treatment. And thus far, I have been reading from actual things that are daily readers. And this morning, as I'm sitting here looking at my stack, what came to me, it pulled my attention off to a different direction. And it brought my attention to this book by Thich Nhat Hanh called No Death, No Fear. And when I opened it up, it landed on page 80. In the middle of the page, my eyes went to reading that starts a sheet of paper. And I'm going to go with this, mostly because it really resonates with this time we're in where we don't really know what the heck's going on. And it's easy to get lost in appearances. And this, um, it really brought a little bit of clarity for me, and I hope it will do the same for you. So I'm reading from the middle of page 80, a sheet of paper. No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you close. I release you to be free. I am in you, and you are in me. No coming, no going is the true nature of reality. You have come from nowhere, and you will go nowhere. The rose, the cloud, the mountains, the stars, the planet Earth, everything is like that. Their nature is the nature of no coming, no going. To die does not mean that something you become, that, that from something you become nothing. To be born does not mean that from no one you suddenly become someone. There is only manifestation based on sufficient conditions and the cessation of manifestation based on the lack of proper conditions. The sheet of paper on which these words are written has a history. This page in the book you are holding in your hands took its form in a single moment. That does not mean that it was the moment of its birth. It was already there as the light of the sun, as the trunk of the tree, as the cloud and the earth. The moment when it came from the factory was just its moment of manifestation. I see we have a couple of folks that have joined us. Welcome. For me, what that does, it reminds me that even when it looks like things just happen out of nowhere, that they don't. That the conditions have changed, but all of the components were fully present the whole time. That the conditions just lined up for the manifestation to happen. Why is that important? Um, to me, which is all I can speak for, it's important to remember that in terms of infinite possibility, especially when I am looking at things that I want to be different. Um, it's helpful to remember that everything is already fully present, that infinite possibility already exists, that we're not creating anything new, but we are participating in changing the conditions so that what already is can manifest. To me, that is the beauty of infinite possibility. And yes, Richard, it can feel overwhelming. And I think our journey is really finding a balance of legitimizing our human experience and not getting stuck there. To, that we are being given a tremendous opportunity to be fully human and fully spiritual at the same time, to bridge that gap in our thinking that says the two things are separate, and to bring them together, that we are both, that we are fully human spiritual beings, that we are spiritual beings having a fully human experience. However, we want to phrase that, but to own that, oh, wow, I'm thinking of these as separate things, which they are not. Right? I mean, I love this line, I am in you and you are in me. That even in our sense of frustration, to own that I am feeling frustrated, and to do that inner check. What needs to change in the conditions for peace to manifest as me? Doesn't mean we ignore anything. I don't believe. And I believe that ignoring things is just lying. And I don't see how that creates a condition of peace. It might create a temporary experience of peace from denial, but I don't believe it manifests legitimate peace. And again, I'm just speaking what comes up for me. I am certainly no authority on life in general, and certainly no authority about your experience. We each get to have our own. To remember that there's a history. And I think to remember that this is all very mysterious to our human understanding. That trying to understand an infinite unfolding through finite concepts just might always fall a little flat. And that's where we go into that place of silence, into that internal knower within us. And it's where we support one another, for crying out loud, where we create times like this, where we pick up the phone and call one another and say, hey, how you doing? How are you experiencing this? And to just presence with one another, to have no agenda to change each other, but to just be a presence of love with one another and trust that everything already exists that needs to unfold, and for each of us to listen to what is ours to do to change the conditions so that it can manifest. That's what's alive in me this morning reading that. Yes, I would agree that it is. And we when we the comment is from the reading I am considering, it is changing conditions in me. Um, and yes, and I again encourage us to look at whatever changes in me changes in the whole, right? The our sense of separation is so subtle, and that sometimes I think we miss it. I know I do. And then I was like, oh wow, did you just hear yourself? And have those internal conversations, because it always has to start at the point of me, and then to recognize that the point of me, that where the divine is expressing as me, as you, as Richard, as everybody, is never separate from the whole. And so if we do what is ours to do to shift and change our condition, our environment, that's how we help heal the whole. And what I know from my own experience is that requires me to stop pointing the finger at you and just come back to, okay, what needs to be adjusted here? Um, Hope that makes sense. Other comments? Any questions before we go into the meditation? Okay. So our meditation is intentionally brief. Just so I want to make sure everybody has accurate information. It is timed at 5 minutes. And that is to create space for people who are learning the meditation practice, getting comfortable with it, to have sufficient time to actually be in the meditation and learn the practice of meditation. For those of us that are used to meditating, keep your own practice and meditate for as long as you choose to meditate. And so we're going to go into that 5 minute time, and then I will close us out with an affirmative prayer. There is only one power, one presence, one source, one substance, one creation, one self existent life, expressing itself through individualized points of expression, yet never separate from itself. It is infinite possibility, formed and unformed. It is pure potential, waiting in repose to be acted, to be sparked, to be moved into expression. Already being all that there is no thing for it to change into. It simply expresses the infinite possibility that it already is, infusing its creation with all that it is. I know that I am that informed, that I am a point where this infinite being expresses its infinite possibility, its idea of itself as me, and simultaneously empowers me to use it, the individualized me, to use the whole of it to express the unique yet never separate desires that come alive in the expression of life as me. And what is true of me is true of all life. Being made out of it, everything must contain it, must be it. And so every desire is a desire of this one. Whether that's in alignment or out of alignment with the truth of our being, it says yes, because it is never in conflict with itself. And so creation itself has no judgment. And yet, in this very human experience, we seem to have created the experiences of pain, of good and bad, of right and wrong, of just and unjust. This dichotomy of opposites created from the idea of separation. And so to heal all that is painful from separation is to heal the lie of separation. And so I hold myself accountable to navigate this earthly experience with authenticity, with honesty, and at the center of my being to remember over and over and over and over and over that there is no separation, that even the slightest idea that comes with the human word with is a degree of separation that I no longer choose, that I am simply one. Every I am is an expression of one. I stand in this radical notion in this human realm. I say yes to allowing the truth of being to change my thoughts, my perceptions, how I show up in the world, how I be in the world. I release any need to have all the answers or any answers as I claim and affirm that I am infinite intelligence and form. Everything that I need to know, I already know. And so I choose for everything unlike that perfect knowing to be removed, from every element of confusion to be clarified. For the release of everything unlike perfection, the joy, the beauty, the magnificence of creation to be neutralized by truth of being, knowing that what heals in any place heals every place, and that the collective expression of life is healing itself one thought at a time, one perception at a time, one acceptance at a time. And so I celebrate, even in the midst of this very human experience. I celebrate spiritual truth that is expressing, that is pushing everything unlike itself to the surface to be healed. I celebrate. And knowing that it is already complete in the now, which is the only moment there is, I step into a deeper faith that no longer needs to see the results to know they are present. I stand on the authority and agency of life itself, of creation itself. And I let go, knowing it's already complete, knowing it's already done, knowing I can return to this moment of letting go over and over and over as I forget and remember. So I hold it all lightly. And I let go. Ashe. Shalom. Oh, Amen. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.